If you're looking for motivation and maybe even permission to get rid of a lot of your kids' toys and you just feel like you're drowning and cannot keep up with the clutter, look no further. This is the video for you. I'm gonna be sharing the top reasons why your kids need fewer toys, even backed by scientific research. Hi, my name's Holly. My channel is all about simple, intentional living for moms. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing below. Okay, so like a lot of moms, I was someone who was very kind of like design-minded and someone who really doesn't like clutter. And before having a baby, I was just convinced that I was never gonna let that happen. I would never let the toys kind of take over my home and leave me feeling super overwhelmed. But even going into it with that intentionality, it is hard to keep the number of toys at bay in the house. Between gifts from other people and just your own desire to make your kid happy and light their face up with excitement, it's hard to resist giving our children a lot of toys. And then I think what happens to a lot of us is once the toys are in the house, we have a lot of guilt about getting rid of anything. But there are actually very good reasons to do so. The first reason is that having fewer toys allows our kids to get into that deep play zone and increases their focus. And there was actually a study that was done on this by the University of Toledo, and they found that toddlers who were given fewer toys played longer, deeper, and more creatively than toddlers who were given more toys. And I have a quote hanging up in our playroom by Maria Montessori that says, "Play is the work of the child." And the meaning of that is that when it looks to us like our kids are just playing and being silly and it doesn't really matter, that is actually their version of work. Like, it's deeply important to them. It helps their brain development. And so if we approach their play space and the way that we would approach our own workspace, just imagine sitting down to your desk and it's just covered in all of this stuff. There's tons of paperwork. There's like, 5 different computers, 3 different keyboards, 12 calendars, and it would just be so disorienting and hard to figure out what to do first. I mean, I just think it would be impossible to work in that type of environment that was just covered in all of these different options and all of this different stuff. And that's really comparable to what our kids experience when they walk into a playroom that has so many toys and so many different versions of the same type of toy. They just get so overwhelmed. And you'll notice if your kid does have a lot of toys, they will start doing this thing, they actually call it dumping, where they'll just start like kind of dumping stuff out on the floor. And maybe your kid has done this before. I've noticed Charlie has done this in the past when he's had like too much. They'll just start kind of dumping everything out, or they will move quickly from toy to toy. They're not getting into that deep, focused play, and that is really where we want them to go, because that means that they're engaging with their creativity and they're developing their imagination. It's really, really good for their development to have that type of deep focused play, just as it's good for us as adults to have that deep focused work where we're not distracted by our phones or distracted by all of these other things. The next reason why your kids need fewer toys is because it helps to encourage independent play. Independent play is good for both our kids and us as moms. If they're able to play independently, then they are in that kind of focused, deep play zone that I was just talking about. And it also gives us a minute to get something done around the house. Now, obviously, little kids can only handle a certain amount of that type of independent play. They tend to really want us and need us to be close, and that's a great thing. But if we can encourage that independent play as much as possible, it gives us a little bit more freedom and feeling like we don't have to be entertaining them all the time. The next reason why your kids need fewer toys is it helps their imagination and their creativity. When you have fewer toys and they're more open-ended, simple toys, kids are able to imagine them into something else. They're sort of forced to use their imaginations more than they would otherwise. But this is the main reason why a lot of us have witnessed this phenomenon of you buy your kids some really like expensive toy for Christmas maybe, and the kid plays with the box. I mean, I can honestly tell you that after Christmas, the thing that my son played with the most was a big box and a piece of bubble wrap. And he was imagining that bubble wrap into being a sled, and he would put his stuffed animals on it and pull them around like he was playing with them with a sled. So kids naturally want to do this. They're kind of wired to use their imagination in this way. But a lot of times we think as the parent that we need to get them something specific to fill an interest that they have. And I'm guilty of this too. But really, if we just give them the space, they will use their imagination and create these things for themselves. They really don't need us giving them the specific version of whatever it is that they are interested in. So the next reason why your kids need fewer toys is it creates a calmer, less chaotic home. So this is another benefit for the whole family. It benefits your child to have a calming space to go to. I think sometimes we think that our kids are so different from us. They're like a different species and they want all of this like overstimulation. But kids also crave a calming space just in the same way that we do. So I think it's really good for the kids as well as us to have a more calming, less chaotic home. It makes it easier for us to keep it clean. The next reason why your kids need fewer toys is because it sets an example and lays a precedent for more of a minimalistic approach to life. I think it kind of lays the foundation and encourages them to become intentional, conscious consumers. If we start this pattern when they're really young of always getting them the next best thing, or maybe there's a movie that they really love or a show that they really love, and we just start giving them every single thing about that show. A lot of Disney movies are like this, and the kid starts to think that anytime they see anything that is like Frozen, for example, or whatever movie, I know Frozen is a big one, they think they need that thing. I think it's just a good idea to not get started down that path. It kind of creates more appreciation for what they do have and more contentment. And then also it gives them the freedom and the space to have a fun and creative childhood. And I have to bring up my mom when I talk about this because my mom grew up on an orchard in a small home. She had 3 siblings. They didn't have a lot of money and they didn't have a lot of toys. And she has told me before, just, you know, how your parents will mention different like tidbits from their childhood. And it always to me just sounds so idyllic and perfect and just exactly what you would want for your kid to have growing up as far as like their childhood experience. She spent a lot of time outside with her siblings, and I mean, she will tell me stories of literally playing outside with a fork and a spoon and imagining that they were people talking to each other. She remembers like the Christmas gifts that she got each year because she would only get one gift. And one year it was a hula hoop, and she was so excited because she wanted a hula hoop so bad, and she was, you know, playing with that thing all summer long the next summer. And maybe because I have that example so close in my life, it makes me feel a lot more confident in not giving my son as many toys as is kind of the norm. I don't feel guilty about it, and I hope that through watching this video, you have gotten rid of any guilt that you had around this, around decluttering your kids' toys, because I really know that it is the best thing for him. It's actually good for him. My mom is one of the most creative, imaginative people I know. She was such a fun mom growing up, and she really is the kind of person who doesn't need much to be happy. She's a very content person, and I really think that is because of her childhood and the way that she has described it to me. Obviously, you don't want to get rid of stuff that is like a beloved toy, and we know the difference, right? Especially like if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're watching your kids play all day, you know the toys that are just treasured, beloved toys to them versus the things that they are always kind of having to sift through, or that, you know, are just kind of another type of car or another type of stuffed animal or something that they don't really have that love for it. It's just kind of there. If you got value out of this and you're feeling motivated, be sure to click that like button and leave me a comment below and let me know your thoughts on this topic. And I will see you all in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye. If you want a jumpstart on your journey to simple living, I've created a free checklist of over 100 things that you can declutter in your home. You can download this free PDF using the link in the description box below.